Just an hour ago, I read this story. Milton is going to hit near Tampa, right on that waterfront. It is going to hit anywhere from a 3 to a 5 category storm. Writers, meteorologists are saying this storm potentially could be Tampa's Katrina. We're talking 15 feet water surge. We're talking 100 to 125 miles per hour. It is crazy. USF, by the way, did get out of Dodge. They're going to Orlando, which, by the way, is going to get hit in this thing. But they have been practicing in Orlando. And you say to yourself, when you think about all of this, where is the conference? Where's this new commissioner? And I'm going to cite precedent, kind of. I'm going to take you back to 2021, COVID related. Memphis was supposed to have a home game against Houston. And I can't remember all the particulars, although Brian Dacus, my cohort here, do you remember it at all? Do you remember the total details?
I don't remember much of it, no.
I've been asking. Nobody can remember, but we remember this. Memphis was forced to move that basketball game and play in Houston.
Interesting.
And it was a close game, which Memphis lost. Had it been here?
Who knows?
Don't know. But then the commissioner, Mike Oresco, he said, for the betterment of the league, you got to move. And I don't think Memphis really wanted to, but they were good conference team players, and they moved that game. I don't understand why this new commissioner didn't just say, Memphis has agreed to swap with you, use their airplane. Heck, maybe Memphis could have paid for the airplane, although I don't know how you'd make up the revenue because you couldn't have really sold tickets that quick to fill up Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, but you could have played the game. This is an important game. And by the way, the Friday Spotlight, Joe Denk may talk a little bit about this later, about the kind of numbers that you get from that. At least you're getting attention on your league. It's the big college football game of that particular night. And they didn't do anything. They just acquiesced to USF saying, no, we're not coming. And now, when this hits, we have coaches' meetings tomorrow. We're supposed to leave Friday. I don't see it. Unless these prognosticators, these meteorologists, these science people that have gone back to history. And by the way, this is not the first time this could happen to Tampa. 100 years ago, what is now downtown Tampa was totally underwater. So it's happened before. And they're all saying, this is going to happen again. So I don't get it. They should have moved him. It's too late now. I guess what you got to start planning is, how can you make this up? Well, Memphis has one more open date, but South Florida's playing on that date. So I don't know how this game gets made up, but I think it's incredibly important that it does get made up. So a lot to be decided, and I don't understand why there wasn't the precedent used, which was, this has happened before. It was basketball, granted, but because of extraordinary circumstances, a home game was moved. And this is simple. You just swap it for next year. An unbelievably poor leadership, in my estimation, by the American Athletic Conference. Sitting in the Family Leisure Studios, don't forget that spa sale still going on. It's the biggest, where you could save thousands on in-stock hot tubs. I'm talking great spa starting at under $2,900. Or you want the new cold plunge. That's what everybody's doing. Get your blood going, makes you sharper for the day. That's under $4,000. Or the big swim spa, the Cadillac. That's $17,499, but there's special financing available. Go look at the store because it's just laid out beautifully right now. Never seen it better, and the sale is great at Family Leisure, where family and fun all come together. I-40 and Whidden Road. Always on Wednesdays, we begin the day. We take a look at the brighter side, the funnier side with Dennis Philippi. Joe Dank's going to join us. We will end the program at 10:45 or thereabouts with the commercial appeal basketball beat writer for the Tigers. That is the one and only Jason Munn. So we look forward to all of that. We start with Dennis. Crazy week with all the storms.
I'm surprised that the mayor of Tampa has not stepped in on this, because she has basically been saying, flee immediately. She has said, if you stay in any of these evacuation areas, you are going to die.
I know.
And
I've never heard a mayor come out that strong.
And so I'm surprised she hasn't gone,
and
no.
we're, of course, going to go fly into it.
Yeah, I'm surprised that she's like, no, you can't come play a football game here. We're going to be underwater. I don't know. It's a lovely town, though.
It is.
Tampa, from what I understand.
Oh, it's a great town.
It's a lovely town. And if you like being 80 years old. So the big story of the day, of course, is Robert Saleh, the coach of the Jets, being fired. And I'm sure you saw that late last night, the owner of the Jets, whose name escapes me, right? Woody Johnson.
Yeah.
He felt compelled to come out and make a statement that it was his decision
and his only
decision alone, which means it was Aaron Rodgers' decision. I don't understand why they continue to coddle Aaron Rodgers. Now, if you've watched any of the Jets games this year, they have been running the most rudimentary offense. It does not call for an Aaron Rodgers. Well, luckily so, because there is no Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is not Aaron Rodgers anymore. There's no movement in the offense at all. He looks like his feet are Velcroed to the field.
He's 41
he's 40
years old.
Saleh did not saddle himself with a 40-year-old quarterback with a bad wheel and a worse attitude. He didn't do that. Woody did that to him. And Saleh is the one who ends up getting fired over.
And they had Nathaniel Hackett there, and that relationship goes back a long way.
Yeah.
And you'll notice that Hackett is still there. But they made the defensive coordinator the head coach.
Right.
And we had Mike Keith, whose Titans faced Aaron Rodgers earlier in the season, and he said, "Don't think this is the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers.
No,
it's not.
It's the Jets.
I wish the Bears could get him now.
Aaron Rodgers?
No, the Bears can't beat Aaron Rodgers. Now they might.
They wouldn't be able to win with him. Nobody's going to be able to win with him. He's poison.
No, I mean play against him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that would be great.
Yeah.
What really weird note, 3 different coaches have been fired immediately after playing a game in London. Robert Saleh. Yep, Saleh was fired. Dennis Allen for the Dolphins and Joe Philbin for the Dolphins were both fired after playing a game in London.
Ooh.
Just such a random fact to stumble on.
Well, the Bears are playing in London on Sunday, but they're 3-2.
Well, no, your coach is in no danger.
Eberflus is not getting fired.
The Bears are getting better every single week because their quarterback is getting better every single week. I was, of course, watching the Saints game because I'm a Saints fan, and the Saints Chiefs. I knew the Saints weren't going to win, but I still was watching the game. And at one point late in the game, this kid Callan Saunders creamed Travis Kelce.
Oh yeah,
I mean it's about as hard as Kelce has ever been hit.
But he got up smiling.
He did. But the fun part about this is Saunders, the guy who hit Kelce, his brother is a backup dancer for Taylor Swift.
Right.
And then, this guy's
and then he picked it
well
off.
Over 300 pounds. Next play, he picks it off in the end zone. Anybody in their right mind would have just taken a knee.
Well, Schuster should have had that ball. He's a little behind him, but it was catchable.
And the guy lumbers out to the 35.
I know. He should have gone down in the end zone, but he said no, and it worked out.
The irony, I think, of Vandy beating Bama, changing subject, Vandy beating Bama is later in life, these Vandy players will be the doctors that will be treating the Bama players for their CTE.
That reminds the old Vanderbilt cheer. Have you ever heard it?
I'm sure I have.
That's all right. That's okay. You're going to work for us one day.
Right.
Yeah.
The average. Have you seen what the average tuition is at Vandy for 1 year of
80
undergrad?
grand?
No, it's only $61,000.
Oh my gosh, that's
so for 4 years at Vandy is almost $250,000.
I think like Virginia or the Ivy League schools, I think they're up to almost $100,000 a year now.
Oh, yeah. The Jets, of course, they did. Of course, they named their defensive coordinator the interim coach.
Right.
Because there's still a coach laying around that wants a job, 72-year-old Bill Belichick, who is dating a 24-year-old former cheerleader.
I give him a lot of credit.
He's 72 years old.
I get it.
How good a cheerleader could she be? She's retired at 24. She should be in the prime of her career.
Let's say she did so well in those first 24 years.
She made her nut. That's it. She could hang it up at 24. She's not at all dating Bill Belichick for his money.
I can kind of understand her viewpoint. I guess we can understand his.
I can't understand either of their viewpoints.
What's the over-under on the length of this union?
Well, if it lasted as long as it possibly could, it's not going to be that long because he's going to die. He's 72. How long is the guy going to live? Like, what do you give him? 82?
Wait, I'm 71. Please, there's 20 more years in there.
I just turned 61 last Friday.
Happy birthday.
Thanks. So I mentioned this to you off the air in the Mets game last night. Jesse Winkler hit a monster home run.
God, we've had a lot of monster home runs.
This thing was a
series
beast.
Tatis yesterday hit
he's
a towering home run.
I loved him. I loved his dad. But so Winkler, he enjoyed his home run. I mean, he stood there and watched it go out. And the guy who was doing the play-by-play said, hey, he's the new A.J. Pierzynski. Because, Pierzynski had a habit of doing that.
Right.
It just turns out that Pierzynski was this guy's broadcast partner for the Mets game. He was sitting right beside the guy when he busted his chops about being a guy who enjoyed watching his own home runs go out.
Do you like that? I used to not, but now I kind of think.
What, a guy admiring their own work? No.
Just like holding the bat, staying in your finish like a good golfer does, watching the ball sail, then kind of flipping the bat, and then slowly looking at the other dugout and running down to first in your home run trot. I used to hate that, but now I kind of think it's like part of the show. Like when a cornerback knocks down a pass to a wide receiver, you would think he's just made the greatest play in the history, which is, they're paying him to knock the ball away. But he starts pointing fingers and
standing over the receiver who's laying there on the field. I hate that. And I hate the guy who enjoys watching his own home runs. I don't mind the bat flip, but act like you've actually been doing this for a living.
Well, they do pay you for that.
But they don't pay you to stand there and gloat. They don't pay you to stand there and go, look how great I am. You've just proven how great you are by hitting a baseball 400 yards. You're hitting a round object with a round object. The most difficult thing to do in all of sports. You don't need to celebrate yourself. We'll do it for you.
There you go.
Yeah. Let's see. The new Utah franchise. We were talking about this off the air.
I watched that game last night because it was my Blackhawks.
The new Utah team, the Utah Hockey Club, I think is their name. They're in Salt Lake City, which is, oddly enough, an hour and a half away from the birthplace of the inventor of the Zamboni.
That's very fitting.
It's absolutely true. Frank Zamboni.
Yeah.
It's not actually called, technically, it's like an ice resurfacer, but everybody calls it Zamboni. Because it's after Frank Zamboni, who, of all things, was from Utah.
Is the company, let's get Brian Takis on this. Google man, is Zamboni the name of the company now? Is there any competition? Because if there was, you couldn't call it the Zamboni. It's like Kleenex.
Zamboni is a brand name.
It is a brand name.
It is, yes.
Is there a competitor to Zamboni?
That's a great question. Let me look that up.
Ice Resurfacer, I think, is the official name of that. But yeah, Frank Zamboni was from Eureka, Utah, about an hour and a half from Salt Lake City. He invented
So there's a Eureka, California, and a Eureka, Utah.
I'm sure there's probably a Eureka in practically every state.
So what do you think happened for those names? That you just stumbled upon this place, it was incredibly beautiful, and they went, Eureka!
That's exactly the reaction they had.
The Ice Cat is the competitor to the Zamboni.
The Ice Cat.
The Ice Cat. How about that?
I'm not meetings. I'm Zamboni.
Meetings were held. Emails were sent. Decisions were made. And finally, everybody sat together and went, all right, we're going with Ice Cat. Are we all agreed? We're going with Ice Cat because we're never going to be able to compete with Zamboni.
Right.
Because Zamboni's a cooler name. What else did I have here? Jimmy Johnson and Janis Joplin went to the same high school.
I did see it, and they didn't like each other.
No, well, I can't imagine they would get along. I mean, he's a meathead, and, she was Janis Joplin. So I can't imagine they would have much of a relationship. Now, I know you're probably going to talk about this in a bit.
That would be Joe Dank you're referring to.
Joe Dank. The proposed 70-team Super League in college football with all the different. And I think it's kind of inevitable. I've said this before, not on the air, but I've said it before, that I sort of think that when Texas and Oklahoma went into the SEC, it was the beginning of the end of the NCAA having any authority over the SEC, because the SEC could just play each other. They could stop. We're not doing any other conference games. We'll just play each other, because the SEC fans would be perfectly happy if they never played anybody outside of the SEC.
Well, we are going to talk about it. Can't start till 31 because of all the TV contracts in place. But the sad part about this is it clearly ends any group of 5 participation.
Oh, yeah.
And if you count the Power 4 as we know it now, that's 68. There's 2 openings.
Yeah, there's 2.
Would that go to like
openings.
Washington State or an Oregon State, or would there be a Memphis that could sneak in? Who absolutely knows?
All we do know is this was inevitable. That there was going to come a time.
First of all, this is a possibility.
No.
It's Disney execs, and this is just something.
Hey, if Disney's involved, it's going to happen.
But
my
point
is
ESPN. It's a former Disney exec.
We have been heading toward the point where there was going to be an elite level of college football and a not elite level of college football. I mean, that is going to happen. That's inevitable. And this may be the first step to it.
All right. As always, we appreciate it. We will talk to you next Wednesday. That is Dennis Phillippe. He's brought to you because he's such a sweet guy.
Hey, you didn't play my jingle.
Oh, yeah.
I know you had a jingle.
Oh, yeah, he's got a jingle.
It's in there somewhere.
Did you email that?
I gave it to him last week, a week before last, but he doesn't know where it is.
Want me? I'll find it.
It wouldn't take us. He doesn't know where it is.
I'll find it, though. That will be my mission this week.
Phillippe
for next
is
week.
your complete entity. Comes with his own intro and out. Do you want to just sing it? Make you feel better?
No, God, no. You don't. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants me singing.
He is a sweet guy. Maybe not a sweet voice, but I say that because it's
Dinstall's.
Caramel apple season at Dinstall's. You read my mind. They're finally here. Those tart Granny Smith apples dipped in fresh, chewy caramel. And the great thing about it is you got choice. Like, you don't have to just stick with just a caramel apple. You can add pecans. You could do caramel with chocolate, or you could do the ultimate here. You could do the turtle apple. That's caramel, pecans, and chocolate. Or go crazy, folks. Go crazy. How about the caramel chocolate cashew crunch? Have you ever had cashew crunch?
I think you've gone too far.
Cashew crunch is incredible.
Yes.
This could be too sweet. I don't know. Try it. You could become addicted. That's what happens with Cashew Crunch. It's the perfect taste of fall. It's great for tailgating this weekend if we don't get blown away. It's Dinstall's in 5 locations. You know where they are. Downtown, both suburban places, Collierville, Germantown, where they make it on Pleasant View, or my neck of the woods in Laurelwood. It's all there for you. It's sweet. It's caramel apples, all at Dinstall's. Joe Dank on a lot of stuff. It's the business of sports like nobody else. Joe's next.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does your favorite mixers. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand-bottled, taste-tested, sent out to a few friends, then taste-tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff, just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Napa Cafe celebrates 26 years in 2024. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. If you are a first-time guest or have dined with us countless times, I want to thank you for making us part of your lives. Whether you're celebrating with the crowd or planning a cozy date night on the town, Napa Cafe can provide you an extraordinary evening. We have 5 dining rooms, including our private wine cellar, our Jan's room for 2 guests, and the Eleanor room for parties up to 60. Sit back, relax, and celebrate. Leave the cooking to us. Come see me at Napa Cafe, 5101 Sanderlin Avenue. We're open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. We also offer curbside pickup from our full menu. For details on our stay-in, dine-out menu or reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe in 2024. We can't wait to serve you.
Locally owned and operated for over 40 years, Automatic Gates Construction tailors custom gate solutions for all your residential, commercial, and industrial needs, including repairs, maintenance, and installation. Automatic Gates Construction specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com.
Jason's Deli. When you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking the bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli, it's wholesome food and no surprises. Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
All we hear is Radio Gaga. Radio
Time for the business of sports, which is brought to you in part by Southern Security. When you go there, you're taken care of. Whether you're a small business owner, maybe a single mom, you're buying your first home. Southern Security is there to be your trusted financial partner, and for over 75 years, Southern Security has been serving this area with unbeatable rates, the best of service, the newest technology. Wait until you see the new bank. It'll be another year or so when they open up in Collierville. It's been voted the best credit union in the Mid-South for 6 consecutive years. The 7th is coming. To find out how you can become a part of the Southern Security family, just go to southernsecurity.org, or even better, call. Somebody will answer. I promise you'll talk to a human at 901-452-7900. Southern Security, proud supporters of the U of M athletic program and 901 Women. Southern Security is your home team credit union and federally insured by NCUA. Good morning, Joe Dank. Dennis Philippi alluded to this thing. It kind of broke on Monday. There is a group, I think it's former Disney executives that are involved with an equity fund, that have projected, they call it Project Rudy, combining 70 teams. If you look at the Power 4, there's 68. 70 teams to have their own, I don't know if it would just be a super league. I don't know how they'd break it up into divisions. I'm not sure how they would do all that. They would expand playoffs. There would be no more G5 games. this is wild. Is it going to happen?
First of all, good morning. It's good to be back.
Yeah.
Second of all, whether it's exactly this, too soon to tell. Are we headed in this general direction? One would believe that's the case. Everything that has happened to this point seems to have been kind of setting the table for something like this. And really the keys here are further consolidation amongst those that are making the major commitment, in other words, the haves, and then significant separation. In this particular example, complete separation from the rest. And so you know, that is the interesting thing. I mean, there's multiple interesting things in this particular proposal. As you correctly state, it's two former Disney execs heading up something. The venture capital firm is called Smash Capital, and they are now making...
Smashing college athletics.
Well, exactly. Or some saying saving it and reinventing it. So depends on one's perspective and where you are in this.
Yeah, right. If you're in the league, you love it, probably.
You're right. You know, the other interesting thing is how many of the potentially how many of the existing Power Four at the bottom might be included amongst this 70 or might be swapped out. That's interesting because there are people at the bottom of these power leagues that don't necessarily, you know, pull their own weight all the time.
I don't know if there's any of this in there, but I think I've seen some sort of proposal where there would be like European soccer, where there would be relegation.
It's absolutely part of this deal. In fact, this is, you know, here's one of the most interesting things about this particular
So a
deal.
school like Memphis could, if they dominated the new league, could be uplifted into the power league for whatever, Project Rudy. By the way, there's some confusion, by the way, with Project Rudy. Because if you Google Project Rudy, you get a sunglass company. So they're not going to be able to use that name.
No, I understand. Yep, and I did hear that. But as I say, one of the key elements to this that's really interesting is there is in the proposal is the creation of 3 tiers. Okay? The top tier would have 16 teams in it. They would make most of the money. The next tier is the tier 2 has the next 22. And then tier 3 is the last 32 teams. There's the 70. But not unlike the European soccer model you're talking about, teams would be promoted or relegated within the tiers.
Within the 70, you're not opening it up for the G5 to get in there.
No, you're going to lock everybody else out. Yeah. And you're going to. Now, the real key to this is to consolidate the media rights of all 70, and then also for this venture capital firm to infuse up to $9 billion ahead of time to, in essence, prepay the schools, make them whole, make them committed, and then when the subsequent media deals come out, that's where the venture capital guys get their money.
So here's the interesting aspect to me, as you just said it. Prepay, $9 billion up front. You're going to make your own television to this. The Disney guys, they're going to make their own deals with television. My question is, where are the conferences in all of this? Do you think Greg Sankey is just going to give up his power as the commissioner of the SEC? Is the Big Ten guy going to go, oh, yeah, we'll just go, we'll let our guys go with this? That, to me, is the problem here. Where are the conferences going to be in this?
Well, so as perhaps you know, the Big Ten and the Southeast Conference leadership was meeting this week in Nashville, of all places. And that's where some of this started to come out of was the guys from this Smash Capital were in Nashville sharing and making their presentation about this proposal. Sankey and Petiti are not on board. They, because they don't want to, frankly, as one would suspect, give up their power. Because they're sitting in the catbird seat, as somebody once said, in the Big Ten and the Southeast Conference. But I think the Big Ten and Southeast Conference probably at some point will realize for them to create true championships, they're going to have to beat more than each other. And so this is a model that starts to go there. This is a very interesting thing, but when you read the various reports that came out of this this week, and the number of athletic directors that are quoted saying this is a great idea, this is inevitable, this is the way to go, there's enthusiasm building for a consolidated plan that probably removes football from the structure of everything else. What this does is maintain the current league structure for everything else. And what it really does is it front loads cash, makes some reliability there, and they can plan accordingly going forward. And anybody who's amongst the 70 will see significant gains in their annual revenues.
Here's two things that come to my mind on all of this. One, it's up to the presidents of the schools now to make these decisions if they're going away from conferences.
That's right.
It's the presidents. But the presidents are the ones that hired the conference commissioners. So that's an issue in its own right. Are they going to say, this is our guy, he's done pretty well for us, maybe we can figure out a little something different? Or the other thing is, if you're in the SEC or in the Big Ten now and you're making all this money and everybody's on the same footing, you're telling me, wait a second, only the top 16. So you're saying to me, if I'm in the SEC and I'm Mississippi State, now I'm in the lower rung? I'm not going to get the same money as Ole Miss? Ooh, that's a problem.
That's a problem unless, and this is where the proposal becomes so interesting, unless being in Tier 2 or Tier 3 is still worth more than you're making today.
True. Does it?
Yes.
Is it?
Well, that's the proposal, yes.
Because they're making 50 or 60 million now.
But at the low end, we're talking about 100 million. At the high end of this, we're talking over 200 million.
So the low end tier 3 is 100 million?
In that general neighborhood, yes. So, and because these guys, and let's face it, venture capitalists, Disney execs and things, sometimes they know what the point is.
How do they make money, though?
But when you consolidate, how do you make money? Look at the NFL. That's how you do it.
Yeah,
and
but are they going to get
share-
those kinds of numbers?
Everybody shares. When you put it all together and then put it out for the highest bidder. I mean, the NFL has always been a master of, there were 4 or 5 entities interested and there were 3 packages, right?
Right.
That's what you can do in this particular environment. There will be 5 interested bidders and you will package these games among these 70 teams and only make 4 packages available. That's how you drive the revenue. This consolidates sponsorships, and it's the introduction of the private equity at last in a way that finally starts to at least reveal itself as making some sense.
So I just did quickly the math. I went halfway. It's 150 million, okay, times the 70. That's $10.5 billion per year for these schools. Can television make that kind of money? Are the networks going to pay $10.5 billion a year to cover that?
No, but that's just one element of it. Television, sponsorships, a combined consolidation of those 70 teams, which might even include tickets, and then the private equity dollars that come in as an investment. So you start to do that. It's the old line of, you put $1 billion here and $1 billion there, and pretty soon you have real money.
It's beyond me. I don't see how you make $10.5 billion per year. But these guys are pretty smart.
These guys tend to know, and it's very interesting.
So it's
very interesting. And look, I started to say this just before we went on the air. You're starting to see with the consolidation now that occurred with the Big Ten Southeast Conference. First of all, early season college football ratings are really good. It's because the games are really good, and you're having unbelievable matchups, and they're all of a sudden they are league games. And so you're realizing what football fan doesn't want to see a Michigan-Washington? That used to be a Rose Bowl.
Right.
That's a Week 4 regular season Big Ten game. So do we want to watch Michigan play Washington? Or does Michigan play Toledo from the Mid-America Conference? And so that's what's happening.
That.
And you see that. And they begin to see this, and all of a sudden there is some true excitement. And these matchups each week as they reveal, and you're going, that's a Big Ten game. Wisconsin played at Southern Cal in the LA Coliseum. 4 million people on CBS on a Saturday afternoon. That's completely different than Ball State coming to Camp Randall.
Vandy and Alabama and Tennessee and Arkansas, all SEC teams forever, and they stole the show. I shouldn't say forever. Arkansas was Southwest Conference
Right.
when I was growing up. But, you get my drift. You're still getting drama and a whole lot with those games that were going to be played anyway. But, no, I get it. And that seems to be where we're going. So let me pick your brain last thing on this.
Yes.
Do you think this really happens in 2031?
In some form, there will be a reconfiguration of how college football works. It just has to be.
And there will be halves in the group of 4 or 5 or 6 now.
There'll be a whole
That's gonna
different
go away.
division. It'll be a completely different division.
Do you think that has the chance to really be successful?
Well, that always depends on how you define success. I mean,
Now you sound like a politician.
well, but some people would say that there are very successful Division III conferences in this country.
No.
How
not
are
really.
you defining it?
Only to those that are in those colleges. There's no national interest in that whatsoever. There's no national interest in the FCS championship, the playoffs. They got playoffs.
No
Nobody
question.
cares.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. I got to ask you this because it came out on Monday, too. There is an update on the NCAA House settlement in regards to NIL and guidelines and things of that nature.
So the court gave a preliminary approval. This came down on Monday to the revised terms of the House settlement. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Two major elements to this one. $2.8 billion to the former athletes. Now the former athletes who played as late as 2016 are eligible to opt into the settlement and then become eligible for dollars associated with the settlement that'll be paid out over 10 years. It's unclear what exactly and how.
Well, it's a lot of money. I remember that.
Well, it's $2.8 billion, and it'll be interesting how much each individual
guy gets,
person
yeah.
gets over that. More importantly is the revenue sharing model, and this is where the existing universities will have an opportunity to share their revenues with the current athletes.
Last we heard, it was 22%.
Right.
Where are we at now?
It's up to $23 million at the start, and it's going to continue to be flexible based on the revenue that the universities make from their various income sources.
Is that going to be on a percentage basis?
I never see it reported in a percentage
okay.
basis. I always see it right now is up to $23 million. Now, this is going to be effective in July. Schools, again, can opt in or they can opt out of this. But then it's defined. You're a revenue-sharing school. And the interesting thing is this. Among other changes of the revenue share model will be there are changes in the roster limit size. And there's basically no longer any restrictions on scholarships. Every person can be on scholarship.
Oh, yeah, but
So
there's a
once they
limit
define- well,
to
the
the
roster
numbers,
limit.
105, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
But that's an increase in scholarships over now.
Oh, right. That's 85. So you're getting 20 more scholarships.
Exactly.
But most of the time, there's 40 walk-ons. Most teams, at
Right,
least
but
for
they're
home games, they
talking
got
about limiting the
125.
rosters to the one.
Right.
The roster limit will set the scholarship limit, but
Right.
they'll all be on scholarship.
Right.
So that's how that works.
Up to 105.
Exactly. So the idea here was that this suit would settle the current lawsuits, and this agreement would apply to that. And then, because this is in play now, they hope to avoid future litigation on this. One other interesting point is NIL will remain in some form under this settlement,
So you
but
can
the
get
NCAA is going to have additional oversight and regulation of NIL
What does that
under
mean?
this deal.
what does that mean?
Well,
They'll
means
cap it, or
they can review the deals and decide if they are consistent with the rules.
So, in other words, if you're a star player, you're going to make a percentage of the $23 million, and I imagine that'll be across the board. Everybody will get, and then you can still get NIL money to make a lot more.
That's right.
Okay. All right. We didn't have time. Next week we'll do it. There's a great dilemma here with the Army-Navy game. I still do not this was an Oresco deal, not the current
Right. commissioner
commissioner of the American, bringing in Army and not getting any share of the Army-Navy game. And now you could have, if the thing started today, Army and Navy would be playing for the American Athletic Conference Championship. and then would play the next week again in what would be a meaningless exhibition game. And the conference gets no money out of that. It's like crazy. We'll talk about that next week. Thank you, Joe. We appreciate it. Joe Dang, brought to you in part by the folks at Grind City and their new thing. It's called Gator Patrol. It's a tangerine cream sour. Yeah, you heard me correct. They just always come up with new products that are so enticing. This is sweet, tart, refreshing. It's a sour that, well, I'll let you decide. It's either a fruited sour or what they like to say is it's sunshine in a glass. It is bright and juicy tangerine sweetness, perfectly balanced by a subtle hint of cream. Brewed to be a little bit less of a tart option. It's really terrific. If you're a person that likes the sours, you're going to love this new beer. I promise you, you will love Gator Patrol, the tangerine cream sour from Grind City. We pause for a second. When we come back, we talk Tiger Hoops with commercial appeal beat writer Jason Munz. He's around the corner.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Don't do it.
Don't do what?
Don't do another Halloween spot for Central Barbecue.
But it's October. Doing a Halloween spot for Central Barbecue is a tradition.
But it doesn't make it a good thing.
Nothing else happens in October.
Baseball?
Not if you're a Cardinals fan. What else you got?
National Candy Corn Day.
No Central Barbecue connection.
Fair point. How about Make a Difference Day?
That's to encourage people to do something constructive for the world.
And going to Central Barbecue isn't?
I'm telling you, it's got to be Halloween.
There's no other choice, I guess.
Hey, Zeke.
Yeah?
This year, give the kiddies ribs on Halloween. They love that.
Seriously, next year, something new.
Response to the all-new Genesis Diamonds has been incredible. People are loving what we've brought to Memphis. Genesis is a different kind of jewelry store with more jewelry than you've ever seen in one place and prices you never thought possible. What people really love about Genesis is the transparency, the education. Genesis is revealing all the long-hidden secrets of the diamond industry. We'll teach you how to buy like a dealer buys, how to understand the ways diamonds are priced by the wholesalers, how slight variations in size and clarity can translate into thousands in savings passed along to you. At Genesis, our commissioned diamond experts are here to guide you every step of the way. Our diamond education will make you a better consumer. Even if you don't buy from us for a week, you'll shop in other places. Discover the Genesis difference, forever changing how the Memphis buy diamonds and buy jewelry. Now open at Poplar and Perkins, the official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans.
DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is the #1 place to bet touchdowns. New customers will do a TD dance of their own because if you bet $5, that's it. You'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. So score big with DraftKings Sportsbook. The code is HERD, H-E-R-D. Put that in after you download the app. $200 for betting just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Winding through our Wednesdays, let's bring in the commercial appeal. Tiger basketball beat writer Jason Munz joins us now. He's always busy, but you wrote a very interesting piece about we got a new team, and apparently Penny has used terms that we've never heard before, like non-negotiable on things that make it a new culture. Is that what you really see? Good morning.
Good morning, Wolo. Yeah, I mean, it just occurred to me as I was like sort of, listening to. I mean, we talked to Penny probably more in the last 2 weeks than we had in the previous since the season ended combined, and I don't know, like it just hit me all kind of as I was digesting everything that it seems like he has he's saying things and going about his business in a way that I haven't seen that much of in the past, and so yeah, I thought it was noteworthy, and a couple. You mentioned it, like he mentioned in his media availability with us after Pro Day last week, and then the program put out a video on social media, I think on Friday, that was just kind of like, like a hype video almost. It was like an extended hype video. It was like 5 minutes and something, and there was a scene where he is addressing the team, and he used that word again, non-negotiable. And, that is, again, like the sign of any really strong program is one of the top factors of any strong program is accountability. And, you could make the argument that there hasn't really been a whole lot of accountability in Memphis men's basketball program over the last few years. And, I don't know. I think this is I feel like, and people that I've talked to feel like Penny has taken some very big steps in the right direction. And I think this is one of the examples of that. I will say this: he's not just using these buzzwords, these buzz terms like non-negotiable. He's actually defining what his non-negotiables are. And it really, the way I wrote it in the story that published earlier this week, it really falls under three headings: effort, communication, and technique. And I mean, he even got more specific than that. Basically what he said was, the question was, what are you going to be looking for in the exhibition next week against North Carolina? And he said, if you're still not rebounding, if you're still jogging to your spot, if the spacing isn't proper on defense, if we're not talking, if we're not moving on a string, those are the things that are going to frustrate me. And, that sort of hyper specificity about what he feels, needs to happen in order for the team to be successful, I think speaks volumes about the way Penny is approaching this season.
So with that new culture, okay, and the accountability and the three things you just mentioned, you've watched the practice, you were at the showcase. What do you sense? Is this team different in terms of getting along and accountability and focus? Is it different than, say, last year? And let's not forget, this team started 11-2 and was, high up there in the top 25 before it fell apart. Do you see a different atmosphere, a different culture?
So that's the other thing so we were allowed into Pro Day, which was basically, they had already done the athletic testing, like the vertical jump and sprints and all that stuff. They had already done that. We didn't get to see that part. So basically what we got to see, the media, was a practice. We got to see some drill work. We got to see some warm-ups. We got to see an inter-squad. And there was a moment during the inter-squad. It was in the first half, and it was basically starters versus reserves. And the reserves were kicking the starters' butt. And starters call a timeout. And Tyrese Hunter, it wasn't like overly animated, but he commanded the attention of his entire team. Of everybody on his team, as they walked to the bench and they sat down, he had total command of his team, and he was really kind of dressing them down. And I mean, we're talking about a scrimmage here, an inter-squad scrimmage in early October, and I just, for the life of me, could not remember another time where I'd either heard anybody talk about a player who has exhibited that kind of leadership or exhibited that kind of initiative, that manifested itself in this way. I mean, the other part of it was I asked Nick Jourdain after the practice about that moment, and he was like, yeah, it's one thing to have guys who are willing to speak up and be leaders and call guys out and hold people accountable, but it's another thing for the team, everybody else, to be receptive and open to that and willing to accept constructive criticism. And he said that's different. Like last year, they didn't have guys who were willing to accept constructive criticism. And Nick Jourdain says this year is different. So, yeah, I think, I do believe that that things are going to look a lot different and feel a lot different. Doesn't mean it's going to necessarily translate into more wins or a super deep run in the NCAA tournament, but it just seems like after the debacle that was last season, they have sort of turned over a new leaf.
We'll know more next Tuesday when they take on North Carolina. My question for you is, if we look at the starting lineup, you've printed it, you saw it in the showcase. It appears that it is going to be Hunter, as you said at the point, Haggerty at the 2, Colby Rogers at the 3, Jourdain at the 4, Dane Danger at the 5. Is that a better starting 5 than last year?
Yes, it is. And I just, the reason why I say that is not necessarily, I think there might have been more overall talent in the starting lineup a year ago with David Jones and Javon Quinterly and I guess I can't even remember who else was in that starting lineup, but I think there might have been maybe in terms of overall talent, offensive talent. Let's include that caveat.
Well, you had Brown, who then went away and then came back, or Dandridge,
right? Jaquan Walton, I think.
Right, and let's not forget the kid that got hurt. That was, I don't know.
Oh yeah, Caleb Mills.
Caleb Mills, who was really a big leadership guy, but was not the same player he was at Houston. Let's be honest.
No, he was not. But the answer to your question, yes, and the reason why is because I just think that, and I've said this all off season, I think they have done a superb job in fitting all these pieces together. I think Tyrese Hunter and PJ Haggerty, they seem to be working well together. Tyrese Hunter is a vocal leader, experienced veteran who has won at the highest level, who does a lot of things really, really well. The other is a younger guy, PJ Haggerty, who is a elite so far in his career, has been an elite 3-level scorer.
Great foul drawer.
Yeah, right. Gets to the free throw line like more than just about anybody else. If your name's not Zach Edey last season. So I think they complement each other very well. I think you could even throw Colby Rogers into that mix because you're talking about a guy who's a 40% career 3-point shooter in Colby Rogers, and so I think he complements the 1-2 punch of Hunter and Haggerty very well. Dane Danger, I've been more and more impressed by him every time I hear about him and every time I see him. I'm just more and more impressed by him. Penny even said it after the showcase. We have, as long as he's been there, we have not had a big man like Dane Danger. And I think what he means by that is that Dane is such a versatile guy. Like, he can do a lot of things pretty well. Like, he handles the ball well. He passes very well. He sees the floor, gets teammates involved. He's big, strong. He can set screens. He can block shots. He can rim run. He's got a little touch in his mid-range. So Penny said this too after the pro day when he was asked about the starting lineup. He said, "Yeah, Nick Jourdain was in with what I consider the starters." Like he said, what I consider the starters today is that group, and that includes Nick Jourdain. He said he did, however, say that could change. Doesn't mean it won't change by the time.
No. Well, you got Smith and you got Cisse. Those are two big bodies that could be very, very helpful. Before I run out of time, 2 staff additions could be hired. He fired 4. He's hired 2. And you got 13 scholarships, only 11. There's 2 spots there. Do you see any additions either area before this season starts?
I would be very surprised if, especially on the staff side. I don't think there's going to be any additions made to the staff, and I certainly don't think there's going to be any on the player side either. Just because classes started 7 weeks ago. I don't think you can. I don't think you could. Maybe he adds somebody and tries to get them eligible for the after the fall semester, maybe. But I don't see that happening. So I think what they have now is probably what they're going to go with. I do know they have a guy coming in on a visit next week. His name is Matty Trior. He started his career, I believe, at New Mexico State, either New Mexico or New Mexico State, and then transferred to Maryland. After a season there, he's gone to the junior college route. He's coming in on a visit, but he would be for next season. He would not be for this season. So there you have it.
There you go. Jason, can't wait to see you Tuesday, and then we'll talk about that game with North Carolina next Wednesday morning. Can't wait for all of that.
I look forward to it. Thank you, Wolo.
Me too. Thank you. That is Jason Munns from the Commercial Appeal. He's brought to you by the Eflin Insurance Team. That's right. If you want to take care of your family, you want somebody who's going to know your family, right? That's the way the Eflin Insurance Team works. They start by getting to know you, your family, what's important, what your budget is, and then they find the perfect protection for your car, for your home, and for your future with life insurance. Same sort of philosophy when it comes to businesses, small to mid-size. He's going to know you, your product. He's going to know your employees, forecast you out a little bit, figure out your budget, and then find the perfect commercial insurance. It's all about getting to know you, collaborating, and then protecting you. That's the Eflin Insurance way. Got to thank Jason Munns, Joe Dank, Dennis Philippi. Tomorrow, big show. Pete Pranica will be with us. Ron Higgins on the SEC. Jarvis Greer will end our day. Typical Thursday. Thanks for listening. Johnny Radio's right around the corner. Have a great day, everybody.
Jenkins Floors and More invite you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
Looking for a high-efficiency planting solution? The Case IH 2150 Early Riser Planter combines the industry's most accurate planter technologies with a rugged row unit for fast and uniform emergence. The Case IH 2150 Early Riser operates at your speed and adapts to unique field conditions so that you can maximize your yield potential. Stop in or call Mid-South Ag Equipment at 662-890-3141 to learn more. That's Mid-South Ag, your Case IH Equipment headquarters.
Wash your house, wash your office building? Possible! Not if you call Wilson's Pro Wash. Your house, fence, driveway, warehouse, store, hotel, even cars and trucks can all be squeaky clean and beautiful after pressure washing by Wilson's Pro Wash. Wilson's specializes in cleaning all hard surfaces, concrete, stone, brick, and mortar, even wood and vinyl siding. Then Wilson's can seal their surfaces so they stay looking brand new. Call Wilson's Pro Wash, 1-524-6799, or online at wilsonsprowash.com.
Fall is football at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Monday through Friday is happy hour from 3 to 6 with $1 off all draft meals, $5 off well drinks, $4.50 for house wine, and half off pretzel bites, mozzarella sticks, queso, corn dogs, and pickles. Then enjoy Friday night lights from 7 to close. Dine in and buy
admit it. When you start thinking about tastes of Memphis, you think treats, sweets. You think Dinstall's. For 122 years now. What is that, 5 generations? When people wanted something to bring to a party that will just make everybody happy, they bring out Dinstall's.